All right, guys, back for part 2 of the 7.1 notes. All right, so if I were you, I'd maybe pause this and try to do each step as we go along on your own and then check it with me. All right, you got step 1, choose. I think number 1, that first equation, is going to be the easiest one to work with. So I am choosing 2y plus x equals 10, and then I'm just going to get x by itself. So I chose the first equation because I saw that the x was going to be super convenient, and then I solve for x. And in doing so, I now have an x replacement right here. Again, I'd encourage you to pause the video, try step 2 on your own. All right, let's see if you guys did it right. The blue equation is going to be 3y minus 3, and the x I got by itself is going to be the one that is ultimately replaced. So it's going to be 3y minus 3 times the group 10 minus 2y. Okay. And then you solve from there. So we substituted the result here into the second equation. I put it in a different color. And then we solve. So it's going to be 3y minus 30 plus 6y equals 6. Again, I'm going to do multiple steps at once. I'm going to add 30 to both sides. And I'm going to combine 3y plus 6y is 9y. That gives you 9y equals 36. Y equals 4. So we got our first variable. We know y equals 4. Now step 3 says take the result from step 2. You got y equals 4. Plug it into probably step 1 equation is going to be our most convenient. X equals 10 minus 2 times y. 2 times 4. Order of operations says 2 times 4 comes first, and then x equals 2. We got it. X equals 2, y equals 4. Now just write it as an ordered pair to indicate that these are two lines. They intersect at 2, 4. All right, we got one more regular example, and then we're going to do a word problem. All right, there it is. All right. Hey, step 1's done for us. I already got x by itself. Awesome. What that means is that I can just take x equals negative 2y and instantly plug it into our second equation. So our second equation was negative y minus x. So again, I'm putting x in a different color to indicate that that's where the substitution will take place. And that substitution is happening right now on this step. I'm going to keep the grouping symbols just to maintain consistency. Oh, okay. So a minus negative creates addition. So this is really negative y plus 2y equals negative 1. And negative y is the same as negative 1y. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. And 1y is the same as y. Got it. Okay, step 3. You take your result from step 2 and you plug it into the other equation. I think at this point we figured out that go back to step 1 and you've got the equation to plug into. So step 3, x equals negative 2 times y. A negative times a negative is a positive, and we've got x equals 2, we've got y equals negative 1. 2, negative 1 is where these two lines will intersect. All right, now, I wanted to check this out. This is a word problem I wrote a while ago, so if the dates are a little bit off, please forgive me. All right, so here's the situation. Evan has found luck in the stock market. He's got 2 stocks that are rising in value. So one of the stocks is in Twitter. The other stock was in Apple. The Twitter stock was worth $20 per share and is gaining a value of $3 per month, while the Apple stock was worth $18 and gaining a value of an average of $3.50 a month. Use a system of equations to solve. It's like they're not asking you to necessarily solve the system, but they want you to use substitution to answer the question. Determine at what point both stocks will be worth the same value. So here's what we got to do. We got to write an equation for each of these real-world situations. So it would probably be a good idea to define a couple variables. The two variables here are going to be seen in the rate of change. So if you see dollars per month, that's telling you that one of the variables is dollars and one of the variables is months. Now, we talked about writing word problems. Time is almost always seen as the x variable. It's the independent thing that's happening. Time isn't really affected by other things. So time in months, and then stock value in dollars is the y. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this, but it's got a very simple structure to it. The Twitter stock, its value, okay, is equal to $22 per share, and it gains $3 per month. Remember, it's rate of change times x. It's just 3x. That's all this first one is. Your stock, $22 plus $3 every 1 month times x. Now, I don't need to put the 1 month there because we're not going to be graphing it, okay? Apple is worth $18 and also gains a value of $3.50 per month. So it's 3.5 over 1x. Again, I'm not going to put the over 1 because we're not graphing them. Great, we've got our system. Now, how do we use substitution to solve it if both of them have y by itself? If both equations are either x by itself or y by itself, what do we do? Well, think of it like this. Step 1, pick one of the equations. Eeny, meeny, miny, you. And I normally put them in parentheses, right? So I'm going to do that again. The second step is where I rewrite the second equation, which is this one, all in black ink except the variable, all in blue ink. Except the variable that needs to be replaced. Well, I got y by itself in the first one, so I need to replace it, come on, with y. All right, so 22 plus 3x is going to go in place of that y value. And I don't really need to put it in parentheses because it's not being multiplied by anything. Oh, it makes sense. If both of these expressions equals y, set the two expressions equal to each other. So I don't know if I want to finish that sentence with words. I just want to say you're doing this right here. You're setting the two non-x's or non-y quantities equal to each other. So hopefully that makes sense. Then you solve with two variables on both sides. This might be a little more confusing. You haven't had to do x's to one side before yet on this assignment, but we did this back in chapter 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the x's to the right because I know that'll give me a positive answer. Constants to the left because that'll give me a positive answer. So these cancel, that's 4. And this is 3.5 minus 3 is 0.5. And then you can divide by 0.5. Now again, I'm easing the burden of calculations by saying, hey, if you use a calculator if you want to, but I know that a half goes into 4 8 times, so I'm just going to go for the answer there. Now here's the question. I didn't solve the system, I just solved up through step 2. But is that enough info for me to answer their question? Determine at what point both stocks will be worth some value. Well, in the English language, the word point can also be represented by time. At what time will both stocks be worth the same value? 8 months. After 8 months, the Twitter and Apple stock will be worth the same. After 8 months, the two stocks will have the same value. All right, guys, that's the introduction to Chapter 7. Substitution method. Hopefully you guys are making sense of this, and good luck on the assignment. Thanks for watching.